Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experiences, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Chris Zart, general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it.
Well, we are back and with a new special guest.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, Mr. Jon Krus, to the podcast.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes. John, how do we know you?
You will know me as your employee.
You're a DJ for Amplified Events.
Yes,
okay.
a DJ, yeah. Hopefully a friend as well.
Son.
Yeah.
No.
I've been working for you for some time here.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah.
And you worked for me for a few years at another company, and then you left to go to kind of school, and then came back and jumped back on the team, and we were glad to have you. And welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes.
Pleasure to be here.
So let's talk first weddings last weekend. I had a few. You had one.
I did.
Highlights, lowlights, anything interesting from that wedding?
It was great. Overall, it was a party. It was really fun. It was a big group. It was over 200 people. I would say.
Okay.
So it was a pretty hefty size, but they were just super cool. They had great taste, and yeah, it was just a party from start to beginning, or from beginning to end.
On a scale 1 to 10, 10 being like absolute rager, 1 being a dullard, go to sleep.
I'd put it up there at an 8.
Okay.
I'd say it's one of my better ones this year for
All
sure.
right. So pretty solid dance floor.
Oh,
Pretty good party.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Any funny, interesting, or even song of the night, memorable songs that hit big?
Yeah, for sure. When I was talking with the groom specifically before it, he had mentioned that he was a huge Fish fan.
Oh, man.
And you know me, you know my past. So I was super stoked.
Through.
Yeah, I was super stoked. And he had a few on the cocktail and dinner playlist. And then he was like, I only need to hear just one on the dance floor. And I was like, okay, we can do that. And it was getting towards the end of the night. And I think he thought I forgot or something, but I had it right
Not
there.
So
And
just waiting for the right moment.
Yes. And it was all him and his buddies, and they just, went nuts for it. And I love to see it.
Do you remember the song?
Free.
Oh, okay.
By Fish.
Heck yes. There's so many good ones, and it's such a good jam band.
Oh yeah, it's a good sing along stuff.
Yeah. Mine were pretty good. I had 2. First one, Doolin Falls, beautiful Doolin Falls.
Nice.
Absolute perfect weather. We had an outdoor ceremony. It was just flawless, fantastic, really good dance party. Bride is the daughter of a woman I used to work with back when I was a social worker. And so that's kind of why they booked us. And her family is Latino background, I think Mexican. And so we did a lot of that stuff. And then she and her friends love pop punk, sing along stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So Panic
Nice.
at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, that kind of. So it was really interesting kind of wedding how that all came together. Both of those dance floors doing traditional, you know, Mexican kind of music and some mariachi and some other stuff like that. And then, Fall Out Boy.
Yeah. Just a mix you wouldn't think,
but man, we got him dancing, we got him raging, we got him singing, and it was back and forth, and it was a really good, fun party.
Very nice.
And then during cocktail hour at that wedding, we had a guest come up to us and request a song for his dad, who was also there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something, I think it was off of Precious Gemstones, or there's a
The Righteous Gemstones? Yeah.
It's All the Gold in California, that kind of song.
Okay, yeah.
So it's kind of an oldie, kind of folky kind of song.
Sure.
And the guy requested it, and he you know how people, they come up and they give a request, and sometimes they give why they're asking, and I think the guy meant it in the best way possible.
Uh-huh.
But he's yeah, so my dad has terminal cancer. Can you play this song for him?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, how could I possibly say no? I played it next. It was during cocktail. We just dropped it right away. But it got me thinking, I don't think he meant to do that, to kind of put that pressure on a person to kind of play this because my dad.
Because of, terminal cancer.
Yeah. I think he was dealing with it all and was overwhelmed with it. And just as a human, as a fellow human, he wanted to kind of share the load.
Yeah.
And he was like very apologetic about asking for us to play the song. I think he was just trying to explain. But it came across as a DJ because I'm like, we hear all kinds of like, I'm best friends with the bride, or I'm the mother of the groom, or I'm,
Yeah.
People always try to like pull rank and give you a reason why they you should play their song and play it next.
Yes.
And that was the dooziest. I've never heard that.
Yeah,
level
that's hard
of
to
reason.
pass up.
Right.
I mean, that's quite the trump card.
Have you ever had what are some of your best and worst excuses for why we should play the song?
Oh man, there are so many, and it is you have to play it next.
Yes, yeah, they want it next.
The immediacy is always a huge factor for some reason,
which immediately demonstrates that they don't understand how we DJ or why we, that we're mixing music, and so we have to be in a similar tempo range, or we're going to lose that energy.
Sure,
we want to be in a similar key, obviously, to keep so it's seamless. It doesn't have to be those things, but it's very helpful if it is. But if you're going from Usher's, and they want this slow, folky, all the Golden California weird country song that nobody knows, that's going to be a huge transition for the crowd, and we're going to have people leave the dance floor.
100%. Yeah. No, I totally feel that. I mean, it's usually the ones that frustrate me the most are if it's on like their do not playlist, or like I had one recently where it's like no country whatsoever. And this dude just kept coming and he's like, should have been a cowboy. Like he just needed to hear that song.
I think you should have been a cowboy,
and
dude.
I was like, you should have been a cowboy on the ranch far from here. Like, it was just like, I really can't help you, man. Like, what do you want me to say? But yeah, so much of that is, I'm a relative. I'm the groom's brother. This was a song we listened to when we were 10.
Yes.
And like, it hits so hard.
Inside, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, but is that going to vibe with the rest of the crowd? And, you just try and take the temperature of that.
Yeah. We get a lot of like, we're leaving soon, or this was our like going out song, or like this is the bride's favorite song. Even though that when they usually say that, the bride who I met with before the wedding went over all of the music, and I go, what are your favorite songs that you'd like to hear at the wedding?
Exactly. Yeah. We already have quite a bit.
And then that song was not usually, almost always, that song was not included.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's how it goes. And it's always tricky because sometimes it does hit, and sometimes it is exactly what they needed to hear and wanted to hear. So it's just, a judgment call.
But sometimes it is kind of a wacky, goofy, inside joke kind of a song.
For sure.
Or, there's fun memories, but it's not really danceable. And only one or two people know about it. And so they're not going to have a big crowd out there singing along, going nuts with it,
Yeah.
And so that is always a trade-off because we're really trying to throw a great party so people can make great memories at the wedding. And we can't do that if we're constantly having to, like, play these songs that are going to kill that energy, kill that, and make everybody leave.
Yeah.
Because then all they're remembering is, I'm just going to get some food, get a drink, use the restroom.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that's how it works. That's the one thing that happened the other time, and this is one that I'll always take, is like if it's a little kid, or if especially an older person asks on behalf of a little kid, like she needs to hear Shake It Off. And I'm like, okay.
Do you know the movie Frozen at all?
Though that's where it gets tricky.
Not the popular one. There's another song in Frozen.
There's an off-brand one, off Broadway, that I'll play from my phone. It's fine.
Or they just give you, play Frozen. I'm like, what song?
What song in
Not
particular?
That song. You have to, I like that one. Play that one too.
Yeah. Play that one next.
Play the entire soundtrack and score from the movie Frozen.
And then we'll do Encanto, and
but that's what it can become if you give in to these song terrorists.
Yes.
That they want more. They don't. It's give a mouse a cookie kind of thing.
It totally is.
And then they're like, well, yeah, thanks for playing that.
Especially if it hits in any way.
Yes,
because then they're vindicated.
Yes, then they think that they're somehow a DJ god.
We're working together.
Yes.
On this.
Oh, now we're a team, and I've proven myself to you. So here's 10 more requests.
Oh man, yeah.
But yeah, the best ways to do it are like, if it really is legitimately a good song that like the couple does like, or the groom, and they kind of start with being complimentary about who we are as a DJ and recognizing what it costs us to play this, at the risk we're taking.
Yes.
That's the nicest way to do it. And they're also demonstrating right away that it's okay if you don't play it.
Yes.
If you can work it in, that's great.
If you have time, fit it in whenever you can.
To me, that's who I want to work with. That's who I want to play their song, if I can. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but generally that's going to make me more likely to play it versus like, yeah, if you don't play this, we're going to murder you after the show. Some guys are waiting.
It gets to that point sometimes. It's kind of crazy.
I've literally more than once I've had people threaten to kill me if I didn't play their song. One of the threats I took credibly, but the other one they were pretty drunk.
Yeah,
it was just like, okay. But like, we'll get security. Like, hey, watch this person. They just threatened to kill me because I didn't play their song. If I don't play it, and I'm not gonna play it.
Yeah.
I've had other people come up and, they try to give you money and they try to, there's always a gimmick. There's always something but it always comes back to ego. They want to take over, hijack the wedding, make it theirs, hear their songs. But that was the dooziest.
Yeah.
Like somehow this guy's dad, who is unfortunately and tragically dying of cancer, that hearing that song at the wedding will somehow help him.
Sure.
And so, I played it next right away. It was during cocktail, so.
Doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah. So they didn't dance to it, of course. It was cocktail hour. But we did play it. So, and they never came up again. So I think I goal accomplished.
There you go. Yeah. You got your good boy points.
Such a wild thing. Then on Sunday, we were at this like beautiful venue I've not been to before. With some of my favorite vendors, with Sonia from White Border Photography and with Mason from Raycroft Recordings. But it's called The Farmhouse, and it's in Plainfield, Illinois. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like this magical farmhouse garden venue, just amazing patio. They got married in this garden. It's just ideal. The setup, the tear down, the staff, even the vendor team, I was like, I already knew, and they're super professional, so I was already really excited. Like, this is going to be a great day. Yeah. And it is gorgeous. Like 70 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, nice little breeze coming in. All the elements were there. Joey and I got a bite to eat at a place called Chopped, about 6 minutes away, and the food was incredible, and they had live musicians playing, and they were amazing. So you're coming into this ceremony like super excited. Nothing can go wrong. And all of a sudden, we hear somebody, and this guy is weed whacking his fence, which is literally right behind. There's like a really cool landscaping and garden and trees. So you couldn't see anything, but you can literally hear ching, and all the guests are seated, and we're about to walk down the aisle, and you can hear him just weed whacking the fence. And the photographer, the videographer, and her second shooter were all looking at me, and we're like, what's going on? And I go, I know that this guy's probably doing this on purpose. Because
in spite of the venue?
He lives next to a wedding venue. He's upset about that. He doesn't like dealing with all the sound and noise he hears at his house.
Sure.
And so he heard us playing our music for the last half hour as guests were being seated. And I go, I would bet money this guy's doing this on purpose. So I asked my assistant, Joe, to like go around, just ask the guy, be polite, but be prepared that he's probably doing this on purpose. So he's probably going to yell at you. And so Joe goes over there. Sure enough, the guy like lives like a quarter mile away. His house is so far. This is the very edge of his property, and that's where he chooses to start weed whacking.
Yeah.
Hitting that fence real good, and it barely needed it, Joe said. It was not bad at all.
Sure.
But he was basically, look, hey, we're a DJ. We're about to have the bride walk down the aisle. Is there any way you could give us 10, 20 minutes? Yeah. Just like it's coming through. The sound is really loud, and it's distracting, and it's going to take away from the ceremony. Is there any way? And the guy's like, why do I have to do this? And he's yelling at him. And then Joe's like, I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to do a job. I just thought I'd ask you, And the guy did. He did leave, So I was real grateful for that. But Joe was like, yeah, he was definitely doing it.
100%. That's terrible.
But other than that, the rest of the night went great. Turns out there was 2 other couples that we'd done the weddings previously at that wedding, which was really cool. And one of them, I don't know if I was with you or who I was with, but it was a Greek wedding, and it was last year about Labor Day weekend on like a Sunday. And we had this guy who was like, I think a family member or a friend, and he played these Greek songs, and he just started slapping the floor. And when the guy walked into the ceremony, and I was like, I know that guy. I couldn't put it together.
The floor slapper. Yeah.
It took a minute, and I finally put it together. And then I was like, oh, the bride and groom, that's where I know that guy. So I went and talked to the bride and groom from the previous year. And then, of course, it was the groom's cousin, and that was who was getting married today, that wedding. And so we had a couple of Greek songs, and then I was like, this guy's going to want more Greek songs, because him and his wife were like, yes, play this, play this, play this.
Yeah.
And so we did that. We did a little set, and then we did a little extra, and he wanted some more of those Greek songs. And I go, no song, no slap, no song. I want slap.
That's the deal.
Then he forced me to go out there and slap the floor with him, so I did.
That's awesome. That's so fun.
I was dying laughing. I thought it was so good to like that memory from the previous year and that guy who I'd never thought I'd see again, but I remembered because of the floor slapping.
Yeah, that's iconic.
They had a clown clowning at that wedding too.
No way.
That was literally clowning. Like it was doing like a clown, kind of a fun thing for the kids and stuff.
Sure.
And I didn't remember the clown part at first, but I remembered the floor slap.
Yeah, that stays with you. That's awesome.
So sorry. So those are the weddings. But yeah, sorry. Let's talk about you and why you're you know, a little bit about yourself. How did you kind of get into this?
So Chris originally started doing it when we had just started becoming friends, and he roped me into it pretty early on as an assistant, and I just loved it right from the get-go. Like, I still think this is like the best job you can have. Like, it's so fun.
What are some of the things that you love about it?
I think it's not everyone can do it, but it's fairly easy to learn. I think it's a great way to meet people and bring joy to people's days and one of their most important days of their life. And I love music. I love being around music, and just making playlists is, you know, a thrill for me. So I never get tired of that. And yeah, I don't know. There's just so much of it that I enjoy that I can't really pin it down.
Yeah. Well, we play a lot of the same stuff, but we also get opportunities to play new stuff.
Yeah.
And then we get opportunities to play the stuff we really love. Occasionally, where people have the similar tastes that we like.
Exactly.
Like, oh, yes. You want Talking Heads? You're going to get some Talking Heads or whatever.
Yes, that happened a few weeks ago, where it was the first wedding I had where they had a Midwest emo section of music. And I was like, I was born for this. Like, this is all I listened to.
Always on.
And it was fantastic. I got to play like half an hour of some of my favorite songs and some of their favorite songs, and, you know, scream along with them.
Yes.
It was great.
Yes. And feel things.
And feel things.
Passionately feel things.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges about this job, doing this work?
I think the more I do it, the more I've learned to be really flexible and just don't get too in your head about, you know, timeline says this has got to happen there. You know, be ready to maneuver and work quick on your feet and be accommodating to especially the couple and other vendors. And yeah, I'd say learning to be flexible is a big part of it for me.
Yeah, it really is, because it's kind of like a living thing, the wedding day. Where it's like, yeah, I know we have this plan and we want to try to stick to that, but there's going to be a guy weed whacking.
Yeah.
There's going to be a dude who slapped the floor at a wedding you did previously who's going to want more of that.
100%.
And he's going to try to get away with hearing the song without slapping. You have to make him slap the
You
floor.
have to, yeah.
No song, no slap. I made it very clear to him.
I love that. You got to get that on a T-shirt.
I was so tickled, because I thought it was so wild the first time I saw it. And then I was like, I'll never get a chance to talk to this guy again. And then he was there.
Lightning strikes twice.
It was so good.
That's awesome.
Besides those kind of wild things, are there any wild things that you've experienced at weddings you've worked in the past?
So we've had a wedding together. You know where I'm going with this already. We had worked a wedding together where I think that's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen at a wedding.
Yeah.
Say the name again, because I'm going to get it wrong.
So the mother of the groom is kind of who booked us and who booked this. Sometimes people book an additional act to work with the DJ or as an additional part of entertainment. At that wedding I was talking about, they booked a clown. Some people book like a caricature artist. Some do magicians or different, you know, fireworks people. Or, you know, there's all kinds of things that they'll have for additional entertainment in addition to the DJ. Sometimes it's a live band. She booked something or some group, and apparently it's a national organization, that are called Those Funny Little People.
Yes.
And I didn't know much about it. I'd never seen it before at a wedding. But I thought that she had hired two little people, like, you know, shorter than, I don't know what the 5, to perform. Some people I've seen acts where they'll do like a Britney Spears impersonator, or they're different, you know, they pretend to be an artist, but just a smaller, shorter statured person of that. So I thought that's what it was, and I thought that was a little, is it gauche is the term? It was just not, it just really wasn't appropriate for a wedding. And
Not in great taste.
Not in great taste.
Yeah.
Is that the term? And so I was like, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
And she basically said like, okay, they have a recording. If you could just plug that in and play when they tell you. I was like, okay. I was like, do I need to introduce them at all? Like, they'll take care of it. So the day of the wedding, a regular sized, just average sized woman comes up to me. She says, hey, the funny little people here. I was like, oh, where are they? She's like, we're here. I was like, okay.
All right.
I was like, what do I need to do? She gave me an iPad to plug in. And she's like, when I tell you to, just press play. And then I'll let you kind of, take it from there.
And then
what we saw.
And then the show started. And it was iconic.
So what did it look like for viewers? I'll try to have edit in a photo of what it looks like.
It looks, I'm going to be a little mean. It looks like a bad, like, local, like, parade kind of thing.
Yes.
Where it's like a puppet, but really shoddily done.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like yarn hair and like, so they're fully standing, right? And then they have like the eye holes where they, so they can see out. And then they're puppeteering the mouth, right? With their hand.
Yes. But it's a costume. So
it's a full mascot
the whole head
costume.
of the puppet comes over your, I think, and it's literally the mouth is down by where your stomach would be.
Yeah.
So the appearance is that like you're much shorter in stature than you actually are. Like your head is actually probably where the hat of the puppet would be.
Sure. But you're in fact a funny little person.
It looks to the viewer as though it's a funny little person.
Yeah.
But with a giant head and a giant hat.
Yeah.
And they had basically a guy in a tuxedo and a top hat and a bride in a veil and everything.
Yes.
And a wedding dress. But they were average sized people that I could see, but they looked as though they were very small.
Yes.
That they just had giant hats. Head dressing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And eyes deader than a shark's. Like, I can't stress how creepy they kind of looked.
It was a little off. It was funny. It was funny looking.
It was, I would say so. Lives up to the name.
So they have a pre-recorded, I want to say 45 or 35 minutes.
It felt like it.
It was 5 songs and skits.
Yeah.
Pre-recorded. So we just press play, and then whatever's happening is going to happen for the next 35 to 45 minutes.
Yep.
And so what they do is they had pre-recorded some songs. And they also, like a guy song and a girl song and a group song and then another group song. And then they also had some skits.
In between.
Yes.
Very old-fashioned, like 1970s, like, why I oughta, my wife.
Yeah. Why aren't you in the kitchen, darling?
Yeah.
That kind
it
of.
felt like that kind of
Yes,
vibe.
it was very.
Oh, man.
You remember our wedding day? Well, of course I do, dear.
Yes.
That kind of.
Yeah, that kind of. Oh, man. But the thing that tickled me was it was the full-length version of songs. Like, it was like the full 3.5 minutes of like whatever Bruno Mars song.
Yeah, they didn't shorten it at all.
No, it was like.
They did Happy.
That's what it was.
It was, they did, Pharrell Williams Happy.
Yeah.
The whole song.
The whole song.
And they worked the crowd, and they were like going around kind of dancing and talking singing it at the crowd.
Yes.
And the crowd was just like deadpan. Like not clapping, not dancing, not into it.
Yeah.
That I could see.
No one was thrilled.
And that was like the first song. And I was like, oh my, there is like 40 more minutes of this.
Yeah. Already starting at a low. I don't think we're going to escalate here, I don't think there's a grand finale that's going to win them back.
It's one of those things that somebody probably saw at a fair or somebody, and it's like, oh, this is fun. This is kind of darling. Let's do it. This is fun. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
Man, it was.
It just didn't click.
I don't think it really fit that crowd, and I don't know. Like,
I don't know who it's for. Like, we had the debate. Like, if it's for kids, it's too weird and scary.
Well, and especially because there's wedding stuff.
Yeah.
And they were really making jokes that were adult jokes. They did. Didn't they do like a Cubs song or something? And they did
something like that.
Something with sports locally.
Yeah.
And then it was like references, but they had been pre-taped references.
Yes.
Expecting the crowd to respond to those references. Are there any White Sox fans here tonight?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, crickets.
Yeah. They're not going to get pandered.
Even if they were, it could have been a room full of White Sox fans.
We would never know.
Yeah. But then, then they did like a Michael Bublé song.
Yeah.
And they did like Fever, I think, by Patsy Cline.
Yeah. Just like weirdly.
The full song. They didn't shorten it. They didn't do
weirdly too sexual for a puppet to be singing.
Yes, they were kind of working it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a very sultry, seductive kind of dance. You could tell that they wanted the crowd to be into it.
Yes.
The crowd was not. They were just like, kind of like us, kind of taking it in, like, what is happening right now?
Yeah. Why is this happening right now?
Especially because I had not been given any, like, what it was.
Sure.
And there was no announcement for it. They just, and in fact, the way they set it up is they wanted me to introduce the little people as the bride and groom. And so they just came in as though I had introduced the bride and groom. And then there was like, they just did their thing for, 35, 45 minutes. Yeah. And then we introduced the bride and groom.
Yeah.
I was able to talk to them into, like, let me introduce the bride and groom and then introduce our funny little people. I think I did switch that up. But originally they wanted the bride and groom to kind of just stay off to the side.
Which is
for a while. Yeah. And then come in after that. And I think people will not understand what's happening.
And I don't think it matters because I don't think people understood what was happening either way. I mean, yeah, it's a bold move to do that after cocktail and right before dinner when people are just like hungry and want to get going.
Yeah. It's essentially like in-person puppetry.
Yes.
Like costume puppetry.
Yeah.
2 songs, 2 pre-recorded like conversations and kind of like gimmicky kind of jokes. Mm-hmm. And so I could see the right crowd would enjoy something like that. It was definitely entertaining, but not maybe the way that it was intended to be entertaining.
Yes.
It was entertaining, like, it was like kind of, I don't know, cringy. Like it was just.
It is
just, this is not hitting it at all. The crowd is not clapping. The crowd is not into it.
Yeah.
And I wish they were, but it was like, I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I knew exactly how long it was going to go.
That was the thrill. Was watching that first song bomb and knowing this is
the place we're starting.
We have so much more to go. Oh man.
Hope you guys strap in. It's another 40 minutes of this, you know.
Oh my God.
With no explanation.
No.
And they were not, to their credit, they were true professionals. They never broke character.
No, they were great.
Their mouth movements were not always on, but it was pretty good.
They were trying.
It was decent. And they finished the whole set.
Yes.
So that would be tough.
Yeah, that's bold.
But I don't want to down on them. They did their job, what they were being paid to do.
Hey.
It was just a rough room that didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
God
bless them, That
was so wild.
That was truly.
That's a good one. Any other wild things that have happened, wild stories?
I don't know if anything can top that.
Oh, my gosh.
But, yeah, that was like a fever dream.
So, from that, and I still might do this, but I joked I wanted to hire them. Yeah. To do our next company party.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do it in the same way where I didn't tell any of my staff that this was happening. Mm-hmm. And I go up there to do like hey, we had a great year, great job, thank you everybody. We actually have a couple that we worked with previous this year and they're going to, they have some things they want to share with you. Let's bring them in. And then I was going to let them do their whole set act.
Start to finish.
And just wanted to see my whole staff frozen, what is happening?
And everyone would love it. We would be into
it. I think it would quickly turn, especially when they did another song and they realized, oh, this is like a whole thing.
This is the bit.
Yes.
Yeah, I think all our staff would get on board.
So I almost did that, but we'll see. I might still do that or not. But then I thought about all of these, my next time we meet up at bowling or anytime, hire this group to just show up randomly and do their whole set.
That would be
unexpected. No planning, no explanation.
I would love that.
And then were those guys great? And
you sell it as I'm super into this.
Yes, this is my favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
I think it was just wrong room, wrong time, and nobody knew what was going on. But it was good. Yeah. I guess they've done it at other weddings. I've seen it. If you look it online, there's tons of videos of it and that kind of thing. And I think that and they do it specifically for different groups or different organizations and things. So it's it's puppetry. It's live performance. I was on that puppet team for years. So
hey, nice.
Little known fact about me.
Very cool.
That's a doozy.
Yeah.
Some of your favorite moments, some of your sweet moments that you've enjoyed or seen, things you've done at weddings that you've seen has happened.
The one that I thought of recently that stuck with me, I think I mentioned it to you because you mentioned something like it not too long ago, but there was a wedding and it's like a small thing. It's like a super basic thing. Mm-hmm. But it was a wedding talking about good song recommendations the brother of the groom came up to me and was like, "Hey, can you play?" I think it was Hound Dog. It was some Elvis song, and it's like my grandma's favorite. She'll get up out on the floor. Everyone will love it. I'm like, I was in the earlier, mixing dance floor stuff, and I was kind of in the classics anyway. And I was like, yeah, we'll do that. And it worked. It worked like gangbusters. And like everyone came out to the floor dancing around grandma, and she had like the biggest smile on her face. And it's like the little moments like that are like so special and awesome. And it's like a win for everybody. Everyone has a blast with that stuff. And especially grandma. Like, I think if I'm like 60 and I hear someone put on Buddy Holly, I'm going to get out on the floor and like, party with my grandkids and stuff. Like, being able to like make those moments and see it happen like instantly is so special and so cool. And yeah, I think about that moment a lot. Or like, lifting, someone puts the bride in a chair and they lift them up as jump around plays. Yeah. Like just moments you couldn't really predict or manufacture. They just kind of happen. Those are really special. Yeah. Really cool.
No like plan necessarily. And if you had planned, it wouldn't have gone that way.
Yeah. It wouldn't have been as organically like electric.
Yeah. But it all came together and it's like a human moment. You connect to it. Yeah. Like, oh, that's really cool. And everybody has that memory now. Yeah. That I was a part of. And that's really
core memories.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of humbling and very sweet and kind of, and like, you're really thankful that you are exactly where you are right now.
Yes, 100%.
That happens a lot at weddings. And I'm trying to take more notes of those because I definitely remember the wild things when those little funny people show up. I remember that.
Yeah, those stay with you.
Because you don't see them every weekend, Yeah,
no,
now I want them to come to my next wedding. Because I was just so like, what is going on?
This is going to be our side business. I can see it now.
I think it might be a franchise. I think you could.
Hey, all right.
We'll see. I'll have to do some research. Maybe a new service we'll add.
All right.
Do you have any advice? Couples looking for DJs, looking to book a DJ for their wedding. Things to look for, things to avoid.
Yeah. I would say go in with knowing what you want from your dance floor, or like what kind of party you want to have, or just knowing your crowd also kind of helps, and setting the expectations and having that conversation of what you think the night's going to be like. That helps me tons. 'Cause like if, people aren't really a dancing group, or it's going to be a lot of old people, a lot of young people, or like, that kind of information helps me a ton. And I think it helps them have peace of mind about what they're expecting. And yeah. I don't know.
You think to avoid anything that if you see, you're like, oh, wait, this is probably not good. You should probably avoid this.
Some funny little people, maybe. But I don't know. I'd say any DJ who's like the opposite of flexible, very
rigid,
and like, this is how I do it.
We're going to do it this way. We're not doing any extra little things. I'm not announcing.
Yeah.
There's DJs who don't use the microphone, who don't MC.
That's insane.
What? I mean, I get it if you're like a club DJ or you're a different type of DJ, but I can't believe at a wedding, and there are weddings that are huge budget and they hire like a professional event host.
Yeah.
And the person is very gifted in speaking, and they'll like do an award show, or they'll do, they're very good. And so, yeah, they'll hire people like that. I get that, But if you're just a mobile DJ for weddings, like, why you can't use a microphone? You can't announce stuff?
That's kind of like the basic bare bones of it.
It's one of the basic services that we include for free that we don't charge for, because I realize that's just something that's needed, and that's going to help the whole day go more smoothly.
100%.
And they're using our system anyway, so it means there's someone. You're not having another stranger talk on your microphone.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah. No, it just makes sense to do that.
What about couples who've already booked a wedding DJ? What advice would you have to them to kind of make the most of that experience? That's going to be like, when you sit down with the couple and they say XYZ, or we want to do this, and, you like right away are like, that's going to go really well.
Yeah.
Or like, we'll see how that's going to go.
Yeah.
Or like, that's going to be awkward. The crowd is not going to know what to expect. They're not going to know how to respond.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that is, I think, sometimes it helps to know what they don't want more than anything. Like I like going through I don't like country music. I don't like this, and this, because that way I can kind of have more wiggle room with what I can get away with. Just kind of understanding like where their expectations are with the dance floor. I guess.
What they're looking for, what they want, what they don't want. And the clearer they are about that.
Yeah. And I feel like they're more likely to tell you of things they've not liked or seen than things they know they want for sure.
Yeah.
Like they'll be like, oh, I don't want to do garter. I don't want to do any traditions. I don't want to do line dances. You know, having those talks, I feel like helps a lot.
Yeah. When couples reach out and we do like a sales meeting or sales call, that's kind of one of the questions I'll ask to kind of open up and generate some conversation and to get a good idea if we're a good fit and you know, for what they're looking for. But I'll ask, you know, have you been to any weddings recently? And they'll usually will say yes. And then I'll say, well, what have you experienced that you really liked? That really, we want to use this at our wedding, something like this.
Yeah.
Or what's not really your taste, your style. What would you like to avoid that you've seen? And kind of go through that. And even our planning app that we use has a kind of a questionnaire on there too. Name 5 things you liked at previous weddings, 5 things you disliked.
Yeah.
To kind of give us an idea of really how we hammer this home. How do I knock this out of the park for this couple? Definitely by avoiding all these things and definitely by doing most of these things. And that's going to be different, obviously, for every couple. And every wedding is a little different too, where there's, you know, very specific things to do and very specific things to avoid. And then there's like happenstance. I almost said happen chance, but happenstance where just things happen. You get behind schedule or you get ahead of schedule or there's crazy weather or something wild happens and you have to just adjust.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's a huge part of it for me. The best weddings I've had, the couples have kind of understood that not everything's going to happen exactly how we picture it. And the more you're able to let things kind of roll off your back and like, you know, remember that this is a day to have fun and like we're all here to have a good time. Don't put so much pressure on yourselves, I guess is my word of advice.
Yeah.
Like be able to enjoy your day and not stress about we're 10 minutes late to dinner, you know, like let us worry about that. And then, you know, enjoy yourself.
That's really good advice where it's like you've put on the planning, spend some time, think about it. What do you want? What do you want to feel? What do you want your guests to feel? But then, you know, hire vendors you trust to enact that plan and then trust them. And then the day of, sit back and enjoy the day.
Yeah.
Don't be obsessed with, you know, if we're 5 minutes behind or 5 minutes ahead or, you know. And if you are, you can't let that go, then communicate that, you know, that kind of thing. Because generally, everybody who's doing this, especially professionally, they want to do what you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's out of their hands, but they really want to do a good job. So, have you ever seen anybody get injured at a wedding? It happens all the time.
I haven't seen an injury, but I've seen 2 pant tears.
Wait, what?
Like a tearing of the pants.
Pant tears.
Pant tears.
I was like, wait, is this a new thing?
Hold on.
Tell me more.
No, I've just seen 2 poor, tall white men drop it too low and just rip it.
Drop down, get the eagle on.
One right on the side and then one right on the crack. And it ruined his night. I could tell. It was,
just danced a little too hard.
Just a little too much.
One of my buddies, he broke not only his pants once at a wedding, but he broke his boxers. He used to do like the cotton, like non-stretch.
Oh yeah.
Boxers.
Old school.
And just ripped them both. He blew out a pair of underwear dancing.
He's doing something right though.
Right. He's dancing so hard.
That's pretty
So
great.
that kind of became a running joke in our friend group that how hard are you going to dance? Are you going to dance that hard that you blow out your underwear? Pants and underwear.
That's where the bar should be. That's great.
I danced so hard my clothes couldn't take it. They weren't tested for
No, they weren't ready for this.
We do see injuries. The most common one by far, people drop their drink, spill their drink.
Ooh, yeah.
You get glass or liquid and ice, and then people slip.
Yes.
And we get a lot, certain venues especially, are like, no glass on the dance floor.
Yeah.
I mean it, guys. Like, don't do it, you know. And some of them are more intense than others, and I think probably because they've had some lawsuits or some, you know.
Sure.
And they need to make sure people are being safe, but it's just you're giving a bunch of drunk people glasses with alcohol in them and ice, and you're just going to keep doing that throughout the night, and they're going to be on the dance floor. They're going to dance, and it's eventually, your grip is going to slip, and you're going to drop that.
Yep.
And then I always say, this is why we can't have nice things, guys. I have to kind of get on the mic and like, no, shame, all you dancers.
Yeah.
You're not listening to what I said, which was no drinks on the
No
dance
drinks
floor.
on the dance floor.
You go over there and drink it, and you come back and you dance.
Yes.
You don't, not both.
It's also hard to dance with the drink on
It
the
really
dance floor.
is. It really is.
You're just sloshing around and no.
Yeah, the best is just to go up, finish it, and go talk, and then come right back,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Or have a table nearby, you set it down and do your thing. That's the number one way I've seen. Some funnier ones is if you play, especially late in the night, and you play the theme from Dirty Dancing, Time of Your Life.
Ooh, yep.
Swayze and Jennifer Grey doing their thing. The lift.
Yeah.
People do the lift.
Someone gets the confidence to be the lifter and then be the lifted.
Yes. There's always some guy who's like, I got this. I was the cheerleader lifter.
Oh, yeah.
And he hadn't worked out, he's just not prepared. And it's usually a dude. He's lifting a dude. He's not lifting a Jennifer Grey,
Yeah.
or like 95-pound Jennifer Grey. Like
I've only seen two men do it.
and it's just
It's
instant
always
collapse.
Yeah.
People hurting, breaking an arm, twisting an ankle,
Oh, that's so true. I have seen that. It's always the two drunkest.
It builds up to the crescendo. I've seen some guys and girls do it. And I usually cheer when they get it right because they do.
Sure.
And there's people who are professional dancers at weddings and they do it. They do a great job,
Yeah.
But almost always there's a dude team that's like, we're up for this.
We got this.
I've
seen the movie.
Yeah. How I haven't worked out in years. Now I'm ready to lift a 200-pound guy above my head.
And spin him
and he's
around.
going full sprint at me.
Yeah.
This is ending well.
Yeah.
My wife asked me about, she brought up that topic. It's a good topic, but I was like, she's like, do you ever do like, kind of Jewish, Hebrew kind of weddings? And do they put them on the chair? I was like, yeah, we've done some of the aura, kind of stuff. And she's like, you ever seen anybody fall? I was like, I have not seen that.
I haven't, but I've seen people almost hit their head for sure.
Yeah, it gets pretty close. Some of the like decorations and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Generally, it's slipping, falling, tripping. Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
I've not seen. Occasionally, people are not looking where they're going and run into stuff, but I've not seen anything else major than that. I got to start making a mental note of that.
Yeah.
It's something that you see all the time, but you don't really register.
Sure.
Especially if everyone's okay. We've had, of course, people have health emergencies and things, and but yeah, nothing. That's the most common is people slip and fall because people are drinking.
Yeah.
You ever see somebody? It used to happen all the time. It almost never happens anymore. Where they're cutting the cake, and then like people are like, and they put the cake in the bride's face or the groom's face. Mm-hmm. So apparently, you shouldn't do that to the actual cake because a lot of cakes are not. They have just the topper. That's the one you cut and eat, or they have just a slice, and the rest is kind of fake. Mm-hmm. And some of them have like metal poles and things in them to where it's holding it up.
Yeah.
It's like an inner structure system, and then it's fondant and kind of decorative stuff around it to look like real cake, but it's not real cake. And they have just like a slice you slice or a topper that you slice or whatever. And so you should never slam a person's face down into a cake because you can definitely get cut or lose an eye or something.
Jeez, yeah.
I've never had anything like that, but that was eye-opening when my wife was telling me about it. But I definitely have seen where the groom will be like, here you go, and then it's smash,
and then,
or the vice versa.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's always a classic. Everyone gets a fun chuckle.
I used to like kind of egg them on where they're cutting it, and I go, if you think the bride should smash some cake in the groom's face, let me hear you make some noise. And
Yeah.
And it's like, if you think the groom should get her back, let me hear you.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that can be fun if it's the right crowd, the right group. But generally, it seems like people don't go for that anymore.
Yeah. So a lot of time spent on that makeup, and
it's one of those old tropes you don't see much. Just with like the glass clinking.
Yeah. I don't hear it as much anymore, for sure. I'm kind of okay with those going by the wayside.
What are some of the most annoying things or frustrating things you see other vendors do?
Ooh.
That's the real makes it hard for you to do your job or annoying for you to do your job.
I would say not communicating is like the biggest thing. Like we all have the same timeline. And then if things are going to be later or if we're going to try and do some things earlier, we all need to be on the same page with that. And I try my best to do that and make sure the photographers and videographers are always nearby when something's happening. Or if I want to get moving on something, I always make sure we're all good to go for like dinner and like, table service and stuff. But if you don't communicate and we're all in the dark, then it's just going to be sloppy.
Yeah.
And frustrating for everyone involved.
Yeah. It immediately becomes a less kind of professional event that we're running, and it becomes like we're just trying to get through this.
Yeah.
When you really do ignore that timeline and you push it back or make adjustments that you don't tell anybody else as another vendor, that's really important. That is annoying. That is frustrating. Occasionally we see venues that they don't want to turn the lights off.
Yeah.
That's really hard as a dance floor. Light is the enemy of the dance floor. It's
it really kills it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people feel judged, feel like they're being watched. They don't want to dance if it's too bright.
Yeah.
To make it dark, you're going to get everybody out there.
It's very true.
Plus, our lights then that the people are paying for look way better because it's super dark. It goes way more smoothly. So if you can cut the lights as low as possible or cut them out completely, is really what you want to do to help with a good dance floor. And it annoys and frustrates DJs when you can't do that, or when you won't do that. We talked a little bit last week when people in the middle of your dance set are like pulling large groups of people away for a photo that could have been done ahead of time.
Yeah.
I don't blame on photographers. That's generally like the guests or the couple. And that's, if that's what the couple wants, but that's frustrating because it's counterproductive to what we're trying to do.
Sure.
Or like, we're announcing, shuttles or taco trucks or different things that are pulling people away. Trying to think other things. It doesn't happen that much anymore because now I have a DJ booth. But when we used to have the table, I show up and people doing decorations, they have all of their decorations on our table.
Yeah.
Using it as a workspace, a workbench.
Yes.
And that's our workbench that we set up on. And I can't set up. I have to wait till you move your stuff. That could be frustrating. Or when you arrive at a venue and like you have like groomsmen or bridesmaids or guests who are there early to get photos, and they're just kind of hanging out at your booth or your area, and they're just kind of all up in your stuff, and they're interrupting to ask questions. Like, do you have a microphone? Like basic, stuff that we do, and we'll get to it. But it's like I get into like work mode where I want to get these things done, X, Y, Z. And when people are like interrupting that flow, it's very frustrating for me.
I totally agree.
I stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always some bride's dad coming up. What kind of speakers are these?
Yeah, right. I used to DJ. Yeah, they're giving
back
me
in
stuff.
my day. Yeah. You wouldn't
Talk
believe.
shop. Man, these are some nice ones.
I used to have a turntable, and it's like, great.
How much do these cost?
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to talk you up when you're literally just trying to like tape cables and prep music and set cues, and
it's like, man.
Yeah. Sometimes load in, load out. People will park.
Yeah.
Floral or decor people or rental people will park and they will block where you can't get in there either.
Yep.
Or they'll hold up the stairs, the elevator, kind of block things.
That happened at my last wedding. I got blocked in by a bus for like
you can't leave.
10 minutes.
You're just stuck there.
Yep.
You can't leave or you can't set up or tear down. It's preventing you from going about free movement.
Yeah. No. That's incredibly frustrating to me. Especially tear down. Because I'm ready to go. We're done with the night.
Let's lock, let's load, let's move it. Anything else?
I had one question for you.
Sure, hit me with it.
And you can, be as diplomatic as you want.
I like that.
But if you could get rid of like any wedding tradition, like never do it again.
Oh man. I already know.
I have mine too.
Yes, I want to hear yours first.
Okay. Sparkler send off.
Okay. Say more.
It's usually never at the end of the night. It's usually right in the middle of a dance floor because the photographer's leaving or something. It takes way too long. Nobody ever has a lighter. And I honestly don't think it's worth it for everyone to get out there in the cold and kind of break up the rhythm. And I get it. It looks cool, but it's just always, I've never seen it go smoothly. and I think it's a trap.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
Yeah. But I think people ultimately want that photo.
Yeah.
And it can be kind of a cool experience. Everyone's like, yeah. you
Yeah.
know. But I agree with that. That I'd be fine if that didn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of venues have kind of put the kibosh on that, stopped it because of fires and mess. And,
Yeah, it's just dangerous. And
I think for me, the big one that I would be just, how'd you rephrase the question? Like happy to see it go? Or
yeah, let's say happy to see it leave.
I think Dollar Dance.
Ooh, yeah.
It's just, it never goes the way you think. It always takes way too long. I mean, at least 15 to 30 minutes that you're losing of dance floor time. And it's just dedicated to people lining up and dancing with the couple and giving them cash. Generally, they're not raising, in my opinion, enough cash to make it worth doing.
Mm-hmm.
If they were like, yeah, here is $5,000 or several $1,000s to like help with the cost of the wedding or help like make a really awesome honeymoon for you guys, you know, that'd be different. But generally, most people don't have cash anymore.
Sure.
So I know it used to be kind of a big thing back in the day, tradition, and people, it's in a way people support the couple. But generally, most people have already done that. They've already like brought in, an envelope, a card, a gift. Most people just do cards. They put cash or a check in it, and it's in the card box already. So they've already given to the couple. By doing that, and I get why people do it. It's like, oh yeah, we can make some more, but and some one-on-one time, you know. But I think there's better ways to do that don't involve killing your dance floor. That's really why I don't like it.
It does slow everything down for sure.
It kills the energy, and I don't think it raises enough money to be worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I do try to make it fun. If we are doing it, we will do it. If somebody wants us to do it, we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll try to make it fun, where it's a competition between the bride and groom, who can raise the most, or just some other side bet on the line, like you got to give her back rubs for a month, man, or you're doing the dishes now.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like you're taking care of the cat litter, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But the Dollar Dash is really the way to do it if you're doing it. It's one song. It's just the best man maid of honor running around, and they're like, Star Wars or Star Trek, like vote on your thing, or bride or groom, or
yes,
wine.
okay. I've
and
seen
it's just
that
a basket,
before.
and people vote with their money, and you just add up the money.
That's fun.
It's just one song. It's a fun thing. Same with like the table photos.
I love that. I've done
Mission
that twice
Impossible
now.
thing.
Yeah.
We just had Steve on the last one, and he talked about that. Like, it's a really fun way, a new spin on old tradition of taking a table photo.
And it's great because it gets all of that out of the way, and they don't have to worry about it, and it keeps the energy up for sure.
Yeah.
Like right after dinner, people have fun with it, and yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's a better way of doing it, and it makes it, it gets the energy up. It adds to then it preps people to, we're having fun and we're contributing.
Yes.
And the photos are usually wacky and silly, and that's what I think the Dollar Dash can be too. You can do that. It's just one song, and it's a high energy song, and people running around kind of doing a fun thing.
Yeah.
The best ones are unique like that. They're not, and they're unique to the couple, and they're fun, and they add energy. The ones that I'm against as a DJ are the ones that aren't fun, that they're awkward, and they take away time, they take away energy from our dance floor, because that's our most basic job, is to throw a great party and make sure people are having a fun time celebrating this event using music and dance and our emceeing. And it's literally the opposite of what we want.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm kind of against that. It's not because I don't want the couple to get money. It's just like, is that really worth is $150 worth
losing the energy of the night?
Yeah, 20 to 30 minutes of the night.
Yeah.
Dedicated to this now. And you could just keep dancing and keep partying and have a good time. So I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't. The fact is, I'll always do it. If they want me to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's fair.
Yeah. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a real treat. And
thanks for having me.
Of course, come back and see us. We'd love to have you on again. And this has been the DJ Insider Podcast. I'm Mike.
I am John.
And we will see you on the dance floor.